The amber glow of his desk lamp cast long shadows across Ambassador Veltar's scaled features as he dictated his final report to the Galactic Council. His forearms moved with practiced precision, two manipulating the recording device while the others gestured expressively, a habit he'd never quite managed to suppress despite decades of diplomatic training. "Council members," he began, his voice carrying the weight of someone who had witnessed the impossible. "I submit this missive as my final observation on what the humans call their industrial capacity. After 18 months embedded within their society, I must confess that our intelligence reports were not merely inaccurate, they were laughably inadequate." He paused, allowing his secondary eyelids to blink as he recalled the first factory tour that had shattered his preconceptions. The humans had seemed so primitive when first contact was established. No gravitic manipulators, no quantum matter. Assemblers, no dimensional folding technology. By all measures of the Galactic Standard Industrial Classification, they should have been barely capable of interplanetary manufacturing. "We cataloged their tools as crude," Veltar continued, his mandibles clicking in what his human colleagues had learned to recognize as contemplation. Chemical combustion for energy, mechanical systems for automation, and what they quaintly call assembly lines. The Technological Assessment Bureau rated them at level 3 on the Kardashev modified scale, barely worthy of trade consideration, let alone military concern. The ambassador's third arm reached for a datapad containing imagery that still made his respiratory organs constrict with something approaching awe. The photographs showed vast industrial complexes stretching beyond the horizon, rivers of molten metal flowing through channels carved from alien mountainsides, and assembly lines that operated with a rhythm that seemed almost organic in its relentless efficiency. "But efficiency," he said, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper, "efficiency is not merely about sophistication of technology. The humans taught me this during what they called the Titan Crisis. 3 months prior, the mining colony on Titan had sent a desperate transmission across the void. Asteroid strike. Atmospheric processors destroyed. 2,000 human colonists with perhaps 6 weeks of breathable air remaining. The journey from Earth alone would take 5 weeks, assuming a rescue ship was already prepared and waiting. The Galactic Council had prepared the standard condolence protocols. In their experience, such disasters were simply facts of expansion, acceptable losses in the grand mathematics of colonization. Even the most advanced member species would require months to organize, manufacture, and deploy the necessary equipment for such a rescue. I was present in the Beijing manufacturing complex when the emergency protocols activated, Veltar dictated, his claws unconsciously gripping the desk's edge. I expected to observe a frantic but ultimately futile effort, the sort of desperate scrambling that emotional species engage in when faced with inevitable loss. What he witnessed instead had redefined his understanding of what industrial capacity truly meant. Within 6 hours, every major manufacturing facility across Earth had retooled their production lines. Automotive plants began producing atmospheric processors. Electronics factories shifted to life support systems. Textile mills converted to producing emergency shelter materials. The coordination happened not through some advanced AI network or governmental decree, but through something far more terrifying in its implications: human social networking. They called it crowdsourcing, the ambassador continued, his translator struggling with the English concept. Individual humans, using their primitive communication networks, began self-organizing the largest manufacturing effort I have witnessed in 4 centuries of diplomatic service. The numbers still staggered him. In 72 hours, human facilities had produced enough atmospheric processing equipment to sustain a colony twice the size of Titan Base. In 96 hours, 3 ships had launched carrying not just emergency supplies, but enough equipment to rebuild the entire facility to improved specifications. But the truly remarkable element wasn't the speed, it was the redundancy. Every critical system had been manufactured in triplicate. Every calculation had been verified by dozens of independent teams. Every component had been tested beyond failure, points that would satisfy even Zephyrian safety protocols. I queried their coordination algorithms, Veltar noted, his vocal cords producing a sound that the translator rendered as bitter amusement. There were no algorithms, no central planning, no governmental optimization protocols. When I pressed for explanation, a human factory supervisor named Chen simply said, "We don't leave people behind." The phrase had required extensive cultural analysis to properly understand. Most galactic civilizations operated on resource optimization principles, acceptable loss ratios, efficiency calculations, cost-benefit analyses that occasionally deemed rescue operations economically unfeasible. Humans, apparently, had no such calculations. Their industrial capacity, the ambassador concluded, is not measured merely in output tonnage or energy consumption. It is measured in something they call giving a damn. When properly motivated, they can reorganize their entire manufacturing base in the time it takes most species to file the preliminary paperwork for an emergency response. Veltar paused the recording and stared out his office window at the Earth city sprawling below. Millions of lights twinkled in the darkness, each representing humans going about their daily business, working, creating, building. What had once seemed like primitive chaos now appeared to be something far more sophisticated, controlled chaos with purpose. He resumed recording. My final recommendation to the Council is this: classify human industrial capacity as variable, potentially unlimited. Their manufacturing capabilities scale not with their technology level, but with their emotional investment in the outcome. When properly motivated by crisis or purpose, they demonstrate production capabilities that exceed our theoretical models. The ambassador's four hands stilled as he considered his next words carefully. We should probably be grateful they seem to like us. He ended the recording and sealed the transmission with his diplomatic codes. Somewhere across the galaxy, his report would join countless others in the Council archives. But unlike most diplomatic observations, this one carried a subtle but unmistakable subtext that any experienced council member would recognize. Humanity wasn't just another species to trade with or manage. They were a sleeping industrial giant whose full capacity had never been properly tested. And in a galaxy where industrial capacity often determined survival, that made them either the most valuable allies imaginable or the most terrifying potential enemies. Veltar gathered his papers and prepared for sleep, but his dreams would once again be filled with images of assembly lines stretching toward the horizon and the sound of Chen's simple words, "We don't leave people behind." In the morning, he would begin drafting his request for extended assignment to Earth. Some phenomena, he had learned, required much longer observation to truly understand.